This is the 5-unit syllabus of MPMC. In that 5 units, now I am explaining Unit 1. In the Unit 1, the current topic is signal description of 8086. We will see what is this. And these are the topics I am going to explain. What is breadboard? What is integrated circuit or a chip? What is the block diagram of a pin diagram? What is the concept of multiplexer and what is the need of multiplexer concept? And explanation of pins. And these are some of the terminology which are required for explanation of this pin diagram. Mu is called micro and mu p is called microprocessor. M stands for memory. Whenever I use this terminology, instead of this, you have to understand. So ALE means arithmetic and logical unit. The CLK means clock. INT means interrupt. Like that, this is a terminology we are going to use in our presentation. So before going to the real session, I want to give some hints here. So this is the diagram of a CMOS NAND gate diagram. Usually we draw the NAND gate means this is the NAND gate, but this is the symbol of the NAND gate. We have to remember this is not the NAND gate. So this shows that the symbol shows that this is the NAND gate symbol. Whereas this NAND gate internally can be designed using transistors, either BJT transistors or CMOS transistor, MOSFET transistors. So that's why it is called as CMOS technology or BJT technology. Right. So suppose if this NAND gate has written like this 74C00, it means it is designed internally using MOSFET technology. If it is written like this 74S00, it is designed using TTL technology. Why we have two types of technology, CMOS and TTL is here mainly we have to remember two parameters to operate a device. They are power supply, power consumption and speed of operation. If speed of operation is the main parameter, then we have to go for TTL technology. If speed of power is the main parameter, then we have to use the CMOS based ICs. So that's why here I have given internal diagram of this IC. It has two transistors for PMOS and two transistors of NMOS. So four transistors required here to design a simple NAND gate. Right. Suppose so that NAND gate diagram can be fit on the breadboard easily because the breadboard size is very less and number of component of NAND gate is also very less. Do you know how many transistors are there in 8086? Right. Intel has taken 29,000 transistors to manufacture this 8086 microprocessor. Why we need 29,000 transistors? Because here you can see that mainly there are three types of blocks in any processor. That is ALE block, control unit block, and register set block. So again, these blocks all are digital circuits only. So as I have shown in the previous present slides, one NAND gate requires 4 transistors. So whenever I am having this many number of blocks in my 8086 microprocessor, definitely I need more than more number of transistors, and more number of transistors cannot fit on a breadboard. Definitely I need some other diagram. So then what is the solution to connect? Here you can see that, for example, Motorola 68,000 IC. Here it is using 68,000 transistors to manufacture this IC, which is a 16-bit or 32-bit microprocessor. So with this 29,000 transistors, we cannot connect a circuit diagram in breadboard. Then what is the solution? The solution they have gone for to manufacture this 8086 on a ICR integrated circuit, which is also called as a chip. Right. So any chip will have the 4 types of pins. I don't want to explain the complete theory of this IC circuit. So here any IC will have 4 types of pins. One is input pins, second one is output pins, third one is power supply pins, and fourth one is called control pins. So here these are called as pins. Now, what are the benefits of manufacturing the any IC? What are the benefits of an IC? Right. So there are different benefits of an IC. Right. Any IC can be manufactured with low power consumption. It can operate at low noise and high temperature stability. This is one of the main parameter. And the debugging is very easy, and cost is also very low. And the size availability of the IC is very less, smaller in size, and they can be produced in the large scale. It, how can you have all these benefits? When we have all these benefits, so we can fit the millions and millions of the transistors on a single chip or an IC. So that's why they have designed, they have converted this circuit diagram. They have designed of 806 into a single piece of a chip that is called an IC. But what are the drawbacks of manufacturing any circuit in IC? What are the drawbacks? Because manufacturing got damaged with IC. Here you can see that when ICs are manufactured day by day. So this was the first computer, ENIAC computer, which it was in the component size also reduced with desktop. Now today we computers like ARM top computer, desktop, ARM top, laptop, notebooks, PCs, and all. So this is advanced computers. You can see that the size has been reduced. Microprocessor packed into a single chip IC. This is called IC. And this pin, each pin is having its specifications here. I'll explain. Right. So it is packed into 40 pin. So this is the terminology of 8086 microprocessor. Mu means micro. And here we are having 40 pins. First pin is ground pin, and the second pin to 16th pin are address and data pins, and the 39th pin is also address and data pin. 8086 is having 20 address lines and 16 data lines. So here we are combining address and data lines as AD02, AD15. This concept I'll explain later. Right? Why? Because whenever you are fetching the some data through the address, right, then data bins are not required. Then only I need only data address lines. After reaching the address, then only I can fetch the data. Then address lines are not required. So then what is happening to reduce the number of pins? They are merging the address and data lines in the form of AD0 to AD15. And once again, the address lines A16 to A19 of out of 20 address lines, they are also having some of the status lines, right? So RD is called read pin. RQ and RQ by GT0 and GT1 are called request and grant pins. Lock pin S0, S1, S2 are also called status pins to read the data, to write the data to or from memory or IO devices that we will see. So QS0 and QS1 are called instruction byte queue status bits. Test signal and ready signal to test the acknowledgement from the wait state generator or memory or IO, and the reset pin. And here we are having NMI stands for non-maskable interrupt, INTR stands for interrupt request, CLK stands for clock. Here I have given CLK means clock signal, right? And here we have one more ground, and two grounds are there. First pin and 20th pin are the two ground pins, right? One pin for 8086 complete microprocessor and one more pin for internally available circuitry. That's why they are having two types of grounds. And 40th pin is VCC or power supply, and HYLD stands for hold signal. HLDS stands for hold acknowledgement. WS stands for write the signal. M by IO stands for memory or IO. DTYR stands for data transfer or receive. DEN stands for data enable. ALE stands for address latch enable. INTL stands for interrupt acknowledgement. These are all the pin description in little bit, right? So out of all these pins, AD0 to AD15 and A6 to A19 will be separated from AD0 to AD15 as A0 to A15 and D0 to 15 by using the pin called ALE, address latch enable, that we will see here. And here I have given one by one pins. All the pins you can understand. First pin is called ground pin. 2 to 16 are called AD0 to AD14. 17 is non-maskable. 18 is INTR. About interrupts, I'll explain in the next presentation. So these are the different pins which we have seen in the pin diagram also. Right. So pin number 24 to pin number 31 are used to operate this 8086 processor in two modes of operation, that is called minimum mode. These are the pins. Same pins will be used these operations, minimum mode of operation, and these 24 to 31 pins are used as maximum mode of operation. And here S0 to S7 are called as status signals. Right, so S0, S1, S2 are used to read or write the data to or from memory or I/O devices. S3 and S4 to select the segments. S5 to select condition of the interrupt flag in flag register. S6 when it low, it indicates that 8086 in control of the bus. Right, during hold acknowledgement, clock period of the 8086 tri-state the S6 pin and thus allows other bus master to take control of the status bus. Right. So it indicates that 8086 is in control of the bus. Right. And S7 is used to know the status of the whole state. Once again, so that's why here they are using this S0 to S7 pins. So before going to the next explanation, here we need to know about this multiplexer operation. What is the multiplexer? As we all know the definition of multiplexer, out of n number of inputs, only one will be selected at the output, which is the concept called multiplexing concept. Here how it will be selected? It will be selected by the selection lines. So if S equal to 0, if the selection line may be the 1 bit, it may be 0 or 1 because 1 bit of operation. So if S equal to 0, Y equal to I0. If S equal to 1 and Y equal to I1, and out of two inputs, only one input has output, and S equal to 0, Y equal to I0, and S equal to and Y equal to 1. This concept already we know that. Why we need to know the using this multiplexing concept is to reduce the number of pins. Here you can see here AD0 to AD15 are merged into are available at only some same pin. So it is separated as A0 to A19 and D0, D15 and S3 to S7 by using this ALE pin. If ALE equal to 0, then it gives address. If ALE equal to 1, then it gives the data lines. So this is the meaning of this presentation. That's why we need multiplexing concept here. This is called multiplexer. This is called selection line. It acts like a selection line, and these are acting like input pins. Any one can be gives the output. You see, if AL equal to 0, here you can understand it is operating as A0 to A15 or D0 to D15. So how many bits are there? 16 bits are there. So it is called 16-bit representation. If I need only byte representation of 8 bits, then I can take it as A0 to A7 and D0 to D7, 8-bit representation. Then it is used for lower bit address or data. AD15 to AD8, it can be separated as A15 to A8 and D15 to D8, 8-bit representation. So it is used for higher byte address or data representation. So this we have seen already. So what is address here? Address means physical address that we have seen in the previous presentation. Physical address may have two parts. One is segment register part, another one is offset register part. So here physical address is called segment register address into 10H, because segment register capacity is only 16 bit. If you multiply with 10H, it will become 20 bits plus address of offset. What is offset here and what is segment? If segment is a chapter in the textbook, each page in that chapter is called as offset. So we cannot get the complete chapter at a time. So we will go by page. That's why we need offset address also. So here you can understand what is meant by address and how to call the data. Right. So these are the address locations 00002, 0001, 0002, 00. So these are all called odd values and these are all even values. So that's what is called even bank, and this is called odd bank because these are all odd values. So with these odd values, higher byte of data will be stored, and with these even values, lower byte of data will be stored. Because why we need this? Because 8086 microprocessor is a 16-bit microprocessor, so it can store the data byte by byte. 16-bit of data cannot be stored at a time. So we can, by using this table, we can call at a time 16 bits of data or higher byte of data or lower byte of data. So this is the way of generating the 16 bits to 20 bits that we have seen already. So here you can see that there are 4 segment registers. How to call these 4 segment registers is, here we have 2 status signals S3 and S4. If they are 00, 01, 1011, because these are the 2 bits, based on the combination of these 2 bits, I can call either extra segment, stack segment, or code segment and data segment. Right. So here we are having this pin number 34 is BHE by S7. BHE stands for bus high enable, that we have seen already. This BHE by S7 pin only gives the higher byte always. Sometimes we in this higher byte move that will copied into AX register higher byte AH. Right, then how can you call that higher byte of data is by using this BHE signal, you can call the only higher byte of data. So this is the table which we have seen. And pin number 33 is used to operate your 8086 microprocessor pin diagram into 2 modes of operation. The 2 modes of operation are called minimum mode and maximum mode. Minimum mode means single processor mode and maximum mode means multiprocessor mode. By making that pin, by connecting that pin to logic 0, that will be operated as maximum mode of operation. By connecting that pin to logic 1, that will be connected operate as minimum mode of operation. In maximum mode of operation, so these are the pins, pin number 24 to 31. Right. In pin number 21 to 31, suppose if I take this pin diagram, pin number 24 to 31, in that pin number 24 to 31, I am having S0, S1 and S2. These 3 pins are called status pins, and these 2 pins are called Q status pins. They are instruction queue status pins, and RQ by GT1 and RQ by GT1 means request and grant to operate. These are the 2 pins to operate in multi-mode of operation. So if S0, S1 and S2, these 3 pins are 3-bit combination, so I can take as 0002 1118 combinations with Q. If they are at a 000 higher level, then interrupt acknowledgement. Because when how can you move into multiprocessor mode to operate in multitasking operations is, I need interrupt, definite interrupt. The concept interrupt we will see later. And if it is 001, read IO port. If it is 010, write IO port. 011, halt or stop temporarily. 100 means access the code segment. 101 is read from the memory. 110 is write to the memory. And 11 is passive. No operation will be performed. So this is the status of S0, S1, S2 pins. And lock. Lock means whenever some operation is happening by the microprocessor, Then the microprocessor system bus means address bus, data bus, and control bus will not be allowed to gain the control of will not be allowed the other device to access the system bus is called clock bus. If you want to access, then we have to use these two pins RQ by GT0 and GT1. Right? If you want to operate during the operationals, you want to operate the other devices, then you can call this RQ by GT1 and RQ by GT0. Right. How to call the queue status bit? So here Q is also a 6-byte queue. The width of Q is 6-byte queue. Here you can see that. Here you can see that 1 to 6-byte queue. This stores byte by byte. If one byte is moved into the execution unit, then it allows the one more byte from the memory or IO device in forms of instruction or a data. So then how can you call that data or instruction by byte is if QS1 and QS0 is 00, no operation, 01, first byte of opcode will be received, and if 11, subsequent byte of opcode. Whenever this operation is performing, it is in the form of 01 and 11 combinations. If queue is empty, that if there is no data in the queue, then it indicated by the bits of QS1 and QS0 as 1 and 0. In the minimum mode of operation, these are the pins uh, operated in minimum mode of operation. Hold acknowledgement, M by IO, DT by R and DEN. These are the pins. DT by R means data transmit and receive. This pin is required in minimum mode system that want to use the 8286 or 8287 data bus transceiver. The direction of data flow is controlled through the transceiver, either inside or outside. That is what we call transmit and receive. If the data is enabled to transmit or receive, then the DT by R bar transceiver knows the status of this DEN. ALE stands for address latch enable that we have seen already. So this is very important. Hold and hold acknowledgement. Hold and hold acknowledgement means if 8086 is already on some job, then if you connect any either external controller like pen drives or any other external memory devices and all, then what this it will do, please hold your operation. Then this microprocessor will send one more signal to these devices. Yes, I have holded my operation in the form of hold acknowledgement. Okay, so this is this hold and hold acknowledgement. Write signal. This 8086 switches WR to logic 0 to signal external device that valid write or output data are on the bus. And to write the data from the 8086 to external devices, then we need this WR signal. And M by IO. M by IO means memory by IO. So this notation I have already given. Ready signal and test signals are here I have given. Right, a test input is examined by the weight generator. Here you can see this weight generator. If it is low, test bar, if it is test bar, then it knows that execution is allowing and execution is happening. If ready signal is acknowledgement from the address of the memory or IO devices, so the IO or memory is ready or not will be known by this ready signal. So here 8284 clock generator will generate three types of outputs. One is called clock signal, second one is ready signal, and third one is reset signal. If this ready signal is high, then only this 8086 can take the data from the memory or can take the data from IO devices. So these are the three pins related to interrupts. INTS stands for interrupt acknowledgement. Right, if interrupt is received, then it is interrupt acknowledgement. If interrupt is written or read, then interrupt acknowledgement will be given. So about this we will see in the next presentation. So important signals to run the microprocessor here are power and clock signals. So here this is the clock signal. Right, now the clock signal is also called as synchronous signal to run the device, to operate device within no time delay. So that's why it is called as synchronous digital circuit, because sometimes some of the operations or actions to be performed automatically with less delay. That's why they are taking this clock signal. The clock is like it's looking like a square wave signal. Usually it does not represent with any polarity, but it will bring with two levels, low level and high level. And this low level is also called leading edge, and this high level is also called falling edge. Here it's called falling edge and it's called as a leading edge. Low to high is called leading edge and high to low is called as falling edge. The time between logic low to logic high is called as time duration, and the reciprocal of this time duration is called as frequency. Usually these clock signals are helps us to run the microprocessor at what speed of operation, because speed of operation is nothing but reciprocal of the time is nothing but speed of operation. So here we are operating the clock signals with 50% duty cycle. So this CPUs can be manufactured with clock quartz or resonant ceramic resonators. So this clock is same as our wall clock. See, for every 60 seconds, minutes pointer will be moved. For every 60 minutes, hours pointer will be moved from one to the next one. That's why here I am showing with this example. And the CPU always performed with the three operations: fetching, decoding, execution. Fetching, decoding, execution. This fetching, decoding, execution will depending upon the clock speed. So it is measured in terms of H, right? If clock speed is high, then speed of operation is also high. And if clock speed is low, then speed of operation is also low, right? So the clock frequency usually measured in terms of megahertz or gigahertz. And for simulation purpose, we are taking 50% of the duty cycle. What is duty cycle? Either low or high time period by total time period into 100 is called as duty cycle. And reset signal. The reset signal helps us to reset the whenever a reset causes a processor to immediately terminate the present activity, and all the registers will be reset to its original positions from whatever they are executing to 000, and some of the segment registers also will come into the its original reset values. And the ground signal, here we are having two grounds. I have already told two grounds, one for the circuitry and one for the processor. And here power supply is plus 5 volts, because latest processors are also operating less than 5 volts of power supply. So this is the reason why we need two grounds that you can go through. And this question was asked so many times. Explain the signals types of 8086. Actually, this concept has the link with one more topic that is called minimum mode and maximum mode that we will see in the next presentation. Any questions you can ask me, and thank you. But before completing this presentation, here I want to show one more presentation, one more video, how these ICs are manufacturing. So this presentation shows that video presentation shows that how Intel is manufacturing its integrated circuits in terms of processors. Thank you. So these are the different steps. So first they will take silicon substrate and deposition of the material and pattern transfer like this. They will be converted and removal of the excess material, and they will do testing and selectioning what how much is required, and they will cut into pieces and they will assemble into packages and they will send into the market, and finally they will test it and the field and they will send and manufacture in terms of bulk number of ICs and they will send it to market.